in the veiled sanctums of the Ottoman Empire, where the air was perpetually thick with the intoxicating scents of jasmine blossoms, musk, incense, and the faint undertone of simmering spices. The women of the imperial harem possessed an arsenal of closely guarded secrets, meticulously crafted, to kindle the flames of desire, ensnare the wandering hearts of sultans, and secure their often precarious positions within a labyrinthine world teeming with fierce rivalry, whispered alliances, and fleeting royal favor. This enigmatic realm, far removed from the romanticized and often exaggerated fantasies perpetuated by Western Orientalists who envision the harem as an unending bacchanal of unbridled indulgence and sensual excess, reveals upon closer historical scrutiny a much more calculated and multifaceted reality. The concubines, odalisques, and even the powerful valid sultans employed these aphrodisiacs and elixirs, not merely as frivolous tools for personal pleasure or idle amusement, but as strategic weapons in the intricate and high-stakes game of palace politics, where survival hinged on wit, beauty, and the subtle art of manipulation. Spanning from the resplendent Golden Age under the reign of Suleiman, the Magnificent in the 16th century, when the empire reached its zenith of territorial expansion and cultural flourishing, to the waning splendor of the 19th century, Tanzimat reforms that sought to modernize the crumbling Ottoman state amid encroaching European influences. These women drew upon a profoundly rich and diverse tapestry of knowledge inherited from ancient Persian aphrodisiac traditions, Arab alchemical treatises, and Byzantine herbal remedies, further augmented by exotic imports from far-flung lands such as the spice-laden markets of India, the mysterious savannas of sub-Saharan Africa, and even the distant apothecaries of Renaissance Europe. Historical chronicles, such as the vivid and expansive 17th-century travelogue Seyahatnam by the renowned Ottoman explorer Evliya Çelebi, describe in tantalizing detail the potions and brews that were whispered about in the steamy confines of the grand hammams, or exchanged in hushed tones during nocturnal gatherings in the harem's opulent salons. Meanwhile, European travelers and diplomats, like the astute English noblewoman, Lady Mary Wortley Montagu in her enlightening letters from 1717 during her sojourn in Istanbul as the wife of the British ambassador, marveled at the mysterious arts and subtle enchantments that seemed to keep the sultans perpetually enthralled by their consorts, often attributing these phenomena to a blend of natural ingenuity and supernatural prowess. Scholarly works including Madeline C. Zilfi's Insightful Women and Slavery in the Late Ottoman Empire, which examines the socio-economic underpinnings of harem life, and Leslie P. Peirce's seminal The Imperial Harem, Women and Sovereignty in the Ottoman Empire, which dissects the political dimensions of these practices with archival precision, help to separate the enduring myths of magical omnipotence from the grounded facts of herbal pharmacology and psychological strategy. This comprehensive exploration delves deeply into the specific recipes, the elaborate rituals, and the underlying rationales that powered these elixirs, uncovering in meticulous detail how the women of the harem enhanced their sexual attractiveness through a harmonious combination of cosmetics derived from natural minerals and plants, specialized diets rich in nutrient-dense foods, believed to boost vitality and fertility, and performative enchantments that wove together elements of dance, music, and incantation, all while deftly navigating the stringent taboos imposed by Islamic piety, the ever-present perils of jealousy-fueled intrigues among rivals, and the broader societal expectations of modesty and submission. In a confined space where physical beauty served as the primary currency for advancement, where a single night of passion could elevate a lowly slave girl to the exalted rank of a favored consort, or even a valid sultan with immense behind-the-scenes influence, and where the production of a male heir could secure one's legacy for generations, these secrets were not mere frivolities but the unseen threads that wove together the hidden history of one of the world's most powerful empires, revealing the profound agency of women in shaping dynastic destinies from behind the ornate lattice screens. To truly comprehend the profound allure and practical necessity of aphrodisiacs within the Ottoman harem, one must first immerse oneself in the broader cultural and historical context that rendered them not just desirable, but utterly indispensable tools for navigation in a highly competitive and often unforgiving environment. The imperial harem, formerly known as the Harem-i-Humayun, was far from a simplistic den of leisure or passive ornamentation as often misconstrued in Western literature and art. Instead, it constituted a vast and intricate parallel universe comprising over 400 lavishly decorated rooms, within the sprawling confines of the Topkapi Palace, a self-contained world that housed hundreds of women ranging from newly arrived enslaved Karis, captured during military raids, or procured through the bustling slave markets of Cairo and Istanbul, to the elevated Iqbals and Khadans who had earned the Sultan's favor through a combination of beauty, intellect, and fertility. This domain was rigorously governed by the authoritative valid Sultan, the Sultan's mother who wielded immense influence as the matriarchal head, and the stern chief black eunuch, or Kislara, whose castrated status ensured impartiality and loyalty in overseeing the daily operations and enforcing hierarchies. In this gilded yet confining cage, sexual attractiveness was not an inherent gift bestowed by nature, but a meticulously cultivated skill, honed through generations of orally transmitted wisdom passed down from elder concubines to novices in the quiet hours of the night, or during the ritualistic ablutions in the grand hammam, where steam and scented waters facilitated the exchange of confidential knowledge. Aphrodisiacs, etymologically stemming from the Greek term Aphrodisiakos, which pertains to the goddess of love Aphrodite, encompassed a wide array of substances and practices believed to stimulate sexual desire, enhance physical libido, prolong the durations of intimate encounters, or even foster emotional bonds that could translate into political advantages. The Ottoman women, deeply influenced by the holistic Unani medical tradition, sophisticated synthesis of ancient Greek humoral theory, as expounded by Hippocrates and Galen, Persian pharmacologic innovations from scholars like Razi, and Islamic medical ethics as codified in the works of Ibn Sina of Ismana, conceptualized the human body as a delicate equilibrium of four fundamental humors: blood, hot and wet; phlegm, cold and wet; yellow bile, hot and dry; and black bile, cold and dry. Consequently, their elixirs and potions were ingeniously formulated to ignite the hot humors associated with passion and vitality, utilizing ingredients such as ginger root for its warming properties that were thought to increase blood flow and arousal, or rosewater distilled from Damascus roses for its cooling yet seductive essence that balanced the body's internal heat. Historical pharmacopoeia, including the revered 16th century compilations of Ttby Nabavi prophetic medicine, that drew upon hadiths attributed to the Prophet Muhammad emphasizing natural remedies for marital harmony and physical well-being, prescribed these substances not only for enhancing pleasure but also for promoting overall health and fertility in the context of Islamic family life. However, within the unique confines of the harem, where the primary objective was to capture and retain the Sultan's attention, amidst dozens or even hundreds of competitors, these aphrodisiacs transcended their medical origins to serve as instruments of survival and empowerment. For example, saffron matik, harvested from the delicate stigmas of crocus flowers cultivated in the fertile plains of Anatolia, and prized for its vibrant golden hue and subtle bitter, celebrated for its mood-elevating and aphrodisiac qualities, with modern scientific studies corroborating its ability to boost serotonin levels and enhance sexual function. In the harem, it was commonly incorporated into a thick, sweet paste known as makoon, blended with honey from Pallas apiae, crushed pistachios for their nutty richness and reputed fertility-boosting zinc content, and sometimes a dash of cinnamon for added warmth, to be consumed discreetly before anticipated encounters with the Sultan, in order to heighten sensory perceptions and prolong endurance. Ambergris, that rare and enigmatic waxy substance secreted by sperm whales and washed ashore on distant beaches, was procured at great expense through Venetian traders who dominated the Mediterranean spice routes, and dissolved into luxurious perfumes or massage oils. Its uniquely musky and animalistic scent was believed to mimic natural human pheromones, thereby amplifying a woman's innate allure and creating an irresistible aura that could linger in the Sultan's memory long after the night had passed. As referenced in Avicenna's comprehensive canon of medicine, which profoundly shaped Ottoman medical practices, love potions, or egic exerleri, as they were termed in the melodious Ottoman Turkish spoken within the palace walls, occupied a particularly mystical and enchanting niche within this repertoire, seamlessly blending the empirical science of herbalism with the esoteric practices of occult rituals that carefully skirted the boundaries of Islamic taboos against outright sorcery, which was condemned as a grave sin in religious texts like the Quran's Surah al-Baqarah, while Orthodox Sharia law strictly prohibited black magic intended to harm or coerce. The so-called white spells that invoked divine names, Quranic verses, or prophetic supplications were often tolerated, or even tacitly encouraged as harmless folk remedies aimed at fostering harmony and affection within the bounds of permissible marital relations. The literate women of the harem, many of whom were educated in Arabic script and classical poetry as part of their grooming, to become cultured companions capable of engaging the Sultan in intellectual discourse, frequently consulted ancient grimoires and manuscripts such as the anonymous 16th century Ottoman compendium Kitab al-Bulhan, the Book of Wonders, which detailed elaborate talismans, astrological alignments, and incantations drawn from a syncretic blend of Islamic esotericism, Persian Zoroastrian influences, and even remnants of pre-Islamic shamanistic traditions from the Central Asian steppes. A quintessential example of such a potion involved the careful boiling of damiana leaves imported from the lush Nile valleys of Egypt, where they grew abundantly, with aromatic cinnamon sticks sourced from Ceylon, modern-day Sri Lanka, and pods of vanilla beans traded through the Indian Ocean networks. The mixture then strained through fine silk gauze to produce a smooth, amber-colored elixir that was softly whispered over with recitations from Surah Yasin, the heart of the Quran, to invoke divine blessings and ensure its efficacy in binding hearts and stirring passions. This brew, designed to be sipped discreetly by both the concubine and her intended target during shared moments in the sultan's private divan, or during festive gatherings in the harem's grand salon, was reputed to foster not only physical arousal but also emotional intimacy. Drawing inspiration from the legendary tales of Scheherazade in the 1001 Nights, where narrative storytelling served as a metaphorical potion to captivate and prolong life through enchantment. The rituals surrounding these potions amplified their perceived potency and added layers of theatricality that heightened their psychological impact. An ambitious concubine might perform a solitary bathing ceremony in a tub filled with warm milk infused with the petals of Egyptian lotus, flowers under the luminous glow of a full moon filtering through the latticed windows of the hammam, invoking ancient Nile Valley fertility rites associated with the goddess Isis to imbue her body with an irresistible radiance and vitality. Alternatively, she could fashion and wear protective amulets engraved with divine names such as Ya Latif, O Most Gentle, or Ya Wadud, O Most Loving, on delicate silver chains hidden beneath her embroidered kaftan, reciting supplications to soften the sultan's demeanor and ward off the envious glances of rivals who might seek to undermine her with counterspells or poisons. European observers, such as the adventurous French diplomat Jean de Thevenot during his travels in documented with a mixture of fascination and skepticism the prevalence of love philters compounded from substances like hashish resin from the Levant and opium poppies cultivated in Anatolian fields, which induced states of euphoric relaxation and heightened sensory perception but carried the inherent risks of dependency and hallucinatory side effects. Practices that treaded dangerously close to religious prohibitions yet were employed with discretion in the harem's shadowed corners. Scholarly analyses such as those presented in Bashir M. Nafi's Arabism, Islamism, and the Palestine Question, which contextualizes these rituals within broader Middle Eastern folk traditions, frame them as subtle acts of resistance and empowerment. In a patriarchal system where enslaved women were stripped of autonomy upon entry into the harem, these potions and spells represented a reclamation of agency, allowing them to influence outcomes through indirect and culturally sanctioned means, transforming potential victims into adept manipulators of desire and destiny. Methods employed by harem women to augment their sexual attractiveness extended well beyond the realm of ingestible potions and mystical brews, encompassing instead a comprehensive and holistic regimen that integrated beauty enhancements, dietary disciplines, and performative arts into a daily routine aimed at achieving peak physical and emotional allure. Cosmetics, in particular, were regarded as alchemical wonders capable of transforming ordinary features into instruments of enchantment. Kohl eyeliner, meticulously prepared from ground antimony sulfide, mixed with olive oil and soot, was applied with precision to line the eyes and create a hypnotic, almond-shaped gaze that could pierce through veils and captivate from afar, as exemplified in the legendary beauty of Harem Sultan, whose piercing blue eyes, enhanced by such artistry, are credited with ensnaring Suleiman the Magnificent for decades. Henna paste, derived from the leaves of the Lawsonia inermis plant, grown in the arid gardens of Yemen and applied in intricate patterns during Mehendi ceremonies, dyed hair to a rich auburn hue symbolizing vitality and passion, while also conditioning the skin to a soft, fragrant glow that lingered invitingly. Depilatory treatments, formulated from a potent mixture of arsenic, sulfide, quicklime and rosewater to form a smooth paste, were endured despite their stinging discomfort to ensure every inch of the body remained as silken and flawless as the finest Damascus silk, as detailed in the practical manuals of 18th-century hammam attendants who emphasized the importance of such grooming for maintaining hygiene and enhancing tactile pleasure during intimate encounters. Dietary practices formed another cornerstone of this regimen, with meals carefully curated to incorporate foods renowned for their aphrodisiac properties. Fresh figs plucked from palace orchards were consumed for their symbolic resemblance to feminine forms and their high content of amino acids that boosted nitric oxide levels for improved circulation. Oysters harvested from the briny depths of the Marmara Sea provided a rich source of zinc, essential for hormone regulation and libido enhancement, and royal jelly, the nutrient-dense secretion fed to queen bees in the palace's own ape, was ingested in small doses to promote youthful vigor, radiant skin, and heightened fertility. Drawing from ancient Greek epitherapy traditions adapted into Ottoman cuisine, physical exercises conducted in the seclusion of lush inner gardens such as graceful dances, performed to the melancholic strains of the oud lute or the rhythmic undulations of raks, Sharqi Oriental belly dance, taught by experienced Circassian instructors, served not only to tone the body and improve flexibility, but also to instill a repertoire of seductive movements that could be deployed during private audiences with the Sultan, as vividly recounted by Evliya Çelebi in his observations of harem performances that bewitched the soul and stirred the deepest passions. Perfumes, distilled with alchemical precision, represented yet another layer of these enhancement methods. The famed attar of roses, produced through the labor-intensive steam distillation of thousands of petals from the rose fields of Isparta in western Anatolia, was blended with sandalwood essence from Indian merchants and civet musk from African civet cats, to create bespoke scents applied strategically to pulse points like the wrists, neck, and inner thighs, forming an invisible yet potent aura of desire that could subtly influence the sultan's senses, even from a distance. Mystical augmentations added a spiritual dimension to these physical preparations. Protective nazar amulets crafted from blue glass beads to deflect the evil eye of jealous rivals, or the recitation of Bismillah in the name of God over ornate mirrors during grooming sessions to infuse the reflection with divine confidence and charisma, ensuring that the woman's allure was not just corporeal but imbued with an otherworldly grace. During the Sultanate of Women era in the 17th century, when influential Valid sultans like Kaiksum Sultan held sway over the empire through their puppet sons, these secrets were systematized and taught as part of a covert curriculum, with Kaiksum herself reputedly instructing her favorites, such as the ambitious Turhan Sultan, in the use of these elixirs to outmaneuver threats and consolidate power within the harem's volatile hierarchies. Yet, for all their ingenuity and efficacy, these practices were not without inherent dangers and ethical quandaries. Overdoses of potent herbs like ginseng or epimedium, known as horny goatweed in folk parlance, could lead to adverse effects such as heart palpitations or insomnia, while the use of toxic substances and cosmetics mercury-based whiteners for achieving a porcelain complexion, for instance, occasionally resulted in chronic illnesses or even madness, as whispered tales from the harem infirmaries attest to the tragic fates of women who pushed the boundaries too far in pursuit of perfection. Failed spells or potions, moreover, could invite severe repercussions, including accusations of witchcraft that might lead to banishment, imprisonment in remote convents, or worse, execution under the guise of maintaining moral order, highlighting the precarious tightrope